Hey, what's good, fam? Welcome to another episode of the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. Durs and Jeff coming to you from beautiful Madison, Wisconsin, CrossFit Games 2018. And we've got the founder of Deuce Gym, Logan Gelbrich, with us. Just finished up the Hold the Standard Summit.
That's right.
Dude.
Fresh out.
Like, not even 24 hours done.
I think I took a nap last night. Back into it. Yeah.
Dude, thanks for taking the time.
Seriously,
on the back end of such an awesome experience to shed some light on everything that you have going on and your journey up to this point, man. So really appreciate you taking the time, dude.
And thanks for letting me steal some of your time, you know, and see you there at the thing.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. And I'll tell you what struck me to reach out to you in the first place. I didn't have a whole lot of context about your journey up until the last couple of days, but you wrote an article about the difference between looking like you can perform and actually being able to perform, and the difference between those two aesthetics, right? The lie that the fitness industry has led the naive to believe, you know, and I thought that was just extremely honest. So I dove into your profile a little bit more and saw a couple of the other things that you've written, and you really come from a place of honesty about the industry that we're in. And so I want to dive into that perspective and how you came along to just be authentic in that way about what it is we do. But for everybody who doesn't know who you are, where you come from, and how Deuce came to be, just give us the cliff notes about your journey, man.
Yeah, you know, and I think giving the cliff notes might also answer your other question about maybe whatever it is that you felt when you read that article and some of the other articles. You know, and I tend to say a lot of the same things, so I want to sort of be thorough here. I, for the first part of my life, from ages 4 until 24 or whatever, roughly, was very specifically focused in the sport of baseball. It was like my expression. It's what I wanted to do since the earliest memories I had. And so all of my decision making and sort of actions and the way I showed up in my life were setting me up, as I thought, to have the best chance to fulfill this sort of like dream. And that's a beautiful journey that, you know, it ended a decade earlier than I thought it would. But it has informed a lot of who I am today, just like all of our, you know, journeys do. Along the way, I was blessed to have incredible coaches. Like I always say, I felt like, you know, I remember coming through elementary school and looking back and be like, I had all the best teachers. Like us, you know, you got a couple third grade options, and I got the best one. And then fourth grade, I got the best. You know, Mrs. Brown was like the best, or whatever. And that happened again for me in athletics. You know, I had excellent coaches. I am not, and this sort of speaks to the question that you asked with the authenticity part, is like, I am a part of strength and conditioning for reasons other than strength and conditioning. I need to hit baseballs further, throw baseballs harder, and play my sport better. And so I can say with confidence that as a gym owner, which I guess is one of the things that I am now, and a coach, I am in the position that I'm in with 0% interest in fitness, like as a pastime. That's not like fun for me. I always say, like, I never had any of the magazines. Like, I knew who Arnold was because he was an actor. I found out later that there was a bodybuilder. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't enter this community through that route. And not only did I not enter through that route, you know, the things that I am interested in are more of the things that you heard at the summit. Right?
Yeah.
And so what happens here with my baseball career is I end up signing at the University of San Diego, and I'm trying to like expedite this story. So at the University of San Diego, I end up having a bunch of great strength coaches. All right. So Shannon Turley, who's now head at Stanford, is our guy, you know. And if y'all know anything, if you're listening at home, if you know anything about NCAA Division I athletics, it's not guaranteed that you're going to have a high-level strength and conditioning experience.
100%.
You're just not, and it's actually worse as you get into professional athletics often. I mean, football is very evolved because it's so physical that those best practices show up, but baseball is a very conservative, skill-based thing, right? I mean, how do we critique baseball? It's boring as hell. They're fat. Are they even really athletes? Let's be honest about this thing, right? Because it's so skill-dominant that maybe you don't need to be the fastest dude in the state to win baseball games.
Sure.
So I got lucky, right? Shannon Turley, welcome to Strength and Conditioning. Man, I mean, he's NCAA Strength Coach of the Year multiple times. Amazing. Follow him up. He leaves with Harbaugh to go to Stanford, and we have Stefan Roche is our next guy. Early CrossFit Flow Master. So now I'm like whacked over the head with what this CrossFit thing is. Not because I care. I'm not even trying to get a gym membership. I'm just trying to get drafted, you know? Mm-hmm. And so, the summit was hosted at CrossFit Madtown. Skip and Keisha Benzing, right? Early CrossFit adopters. Keisha's trying to go for her career in the 800, and Skip is a wonderful weightlifting coach. Their assistants, assistant strength coaches there, right? Wow. And now you got Casey and Natalie Bergner are the other assistants, and so it's just like there's this tee up to this thing, and I still don't care, right? I'm going to put in the work because I'm trying to win a national championship with my boys, right? And I get drafted in 2008 by the San Diego Padres. I play 2 sort of reluctant seasons up and down in their system. And all the while in the back of my head, this wasn't like plan B style, but I also value entrepreneurship. So I decide as I'm going through this thing to be the best in the world at the sport of baseball that, if and when that thing finishes, I want to create businesses. The people who are most inspirational to me, that affected the most people, that made the most money, that were able to demonstrate their creativity in the world were entrepreneurs. So that's like my other interest. So I come out of professional baseball and I go back to Stefan with this like idea of solving this thing. And this gets back to the article. Is you start to recognize, if you're involved in high-level athletics, that you're having one conversation about, let's call it fitness, physical performance. And then if you spend any time looking at the world, you realize that there's this billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar, I think it's like a $2 billion industry at this point, fitness in the United States, that is slanging crazy shit. The infomercial thing, the magazine thing. And I'm just like, if we're trying to be the best in the world at performance, this is that. And then what are you guys talking about over here? This is crazy.
Right.
And so that sort of informed a message that I wanted to have for the world. And I think entrepreneurship is a great environment to demand best practices, just like sport. To say something in the world. And so that is sort of the birth of this fitness school that later became Deuce Gym and Deuce Athletics and Deuce Backlot and whatever. However, I never cared about the pump, right? And so if it's not about the bigger thing, I'm not really interested in it. So we had to not just be a gym that's very conceptual and interested in coaching. I had a lot of other stuff to say, right? So now we had to have this blog, and we have to have these opportunities to say that message. And now we're like an education company where we're, the summit's for me, man. Yeah. Like, this is for me to do my thing. The flavor just happens to be fitness.
Sure.
So that's the short kind of story.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The summit was, and I was telling Kara this the other day, was unlike anything I've ever seen. And I say that I would categorize myself as a seminar junkie.
Okay.
Right? Seen it all, done it all. Right.
You got all the letters behind your name. You got all
anything shy of Tony Robbins. Like I've seen that. You know what I mean? And when you went through that exercise with Kara, and the levels of consciousness that are associated with your limiting beliefs and the shifting of the language, the false negative narrative that we tell ourselves, and really framing that for yourself in real time, so that people understand how powerful this exercise can actually be. The inherent vulnerability expressed, and her being a psychologist, and breaking the fourth wall with us, and explaining like, oh, did you see his body language, and watch him go through his process, and blah blah blah, was just powerful beyond measure. And I think that's something that is special to the Hold the Standard seminar, and I hope that you continue to do that and express that. But when you're going through this process and you're explaining all these things, I'm just watching the consciousness of the room just elevate in real time. So I want, before we move forward with this conversation, I want to make sure that I express immense gratitude to you for allowing yourself to be that vulnerable on your own platform. That should never happen. We're going to pull somebody out of the crowd. You're going to go through this process with somebody you have zero rapport with, and we're just going to hope that you get what I tell you you're supposed to get out of the deal. So, how has your process been with Kara? She kind of dove into the background of how she had to create. Your interest in psychology was so deep, but as all of us that have been in NCAA athletics understand, as athletes, we don't necessarily get the opportunity to take the classes we want to take if they interfere with the sport that we're being paid to play, so to speak. But you were so devout in your interest and so authentic in your expression of why you wanted to dive in deep that she created a work study program for you. So that's not the right word, work study, but she independent study.
Yeah. You're going old school. Old school all the way back.
And so your relationship goes back that far, and now she's a coach. She's your coach. What have you found out about yourself, either proven or disproven, and I'm sure there's layers to this, that have enhanced your consciousness in the way that you operate as an athlete and a business owner?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for the kind words on the summit. That vulnerability that you saw is maybe noble, or maybe that's worth a golf clap or something like that. But it's also self-serving, because unfortunately or fortunately, I know the mechanics of development. That's what I was the expert, right? A bunch of people paid a bunch of money to come listen to me be the expert. And guess what? If I'm the truthful expert, if what I'm saying about operating at your edge and exposing those blind spots and growing your capacity is true, then guess what? That means I'm not at the finish line. So you're looking at a work in progress as well. And I think it's very powerful. It's a power move on purpose for me to be welcome to the thing. You guys saved up a bunch of money to come to this thing, and you're going to listen to the expert. Well, guess what? Guess who's in the audience? The person who's ahead of me, right? And you're going to see me get fucked up here, right?
Right.
And I'm willing to do that. So guess what? What I'm saying is going to hit a little bit harder. Dr. Kara Miller, she earned that. Dr. Kara Miller. We met over 10 years ago, and I was a student at the University of San Diego playing baseball. And the important note to add here is that University of San Diego is a high-level Division I baseball program. It's in this unique intersection, however, where my junior and senior year, we are in conversation to win a national championship at a school, though, that isn't a big-time SEC school. So we're sort of overachieving. So you're in a place that, like, it's real school. Like,
Right.
you're talking to your professors like, hey, I got to, I'm going to try to beat University of Texas this weekend, so I can't make it on Friday. They're like, what? We have a baseball team? You know what I mean? Like, what? It's this disparity, right? And so, mind you, this is also 2008, and it's the first year that NCAA added a uniform start date, okay? And so every baseball program at the Division I level was going to start for the first time on the same weekend to sort of make for a more playing field. In San Diego, we could play our first weekend in the end of January. So a bunch of cold weather schools had to play on the road for a long time, and this is kind of unfair. So they pushed the start date back. Well, guess what? We still got to play 60 games this year. And so what it did is it made the schedule crazy. Like, I remember March of my senior year, I was on campus like a couple of days. You know what I mean? Like, we're playing baseball, right?
Jeez,
at a school that is demanding some academic performance, and they don't really care what is a national championship for, what, right? Okay, and so I was an excellent student. Okay, so I wasn't there just getting C minuses and doing the thing. I was an excellent student, and I was going to do that thing. Well, University of San Diego, again, another great opportunity falls into my lap. Just so happens to be the second major university to build a leadership school. Wow. I just so happened to get some extra credits because of my performance in high school to where I could perfectly fit, without taking any extra schooling or coming in the summer or taking a fifth year, to steal, as I call it, a leadership minor from the school.
Wow.
And that would fit in nice. I'm interested in that. I'm going to study business and leadership because that's what I am. I'm a catcher, and I want to do some of this entrepreneurial stuff. Perfect. And so I'm doing this program, and the last course in the leadership minor is called Leadership Seminar, and you have to do it last, right? So here I am. I did all the things, checked all the boxes, and I'm about to finish my deal. And this course is going to meet at a time when we got games every time. Like, I just can't come. And so I got this problem. So I roll the dice, and I just hope that the school will be empathetic. And I go to the leadership school, and I say, hey, I play for the baseball team here. This is what I've done. I'm graduating. I would like to finish out your program, but there's this problem. My obligation to the university involves me not being able to be here at this one time. And they weren't really into solving that problem for me. They're kind of like, get it next semester. I'm like, I'm going to be playing professional baseball. I'm not coming back here to take one class. Like, can we work something out? Make it harder? Anything. No. And I keep trying. And then one day I knew the professor's name, Dr. Miller, and I'm just walking through the sort of offices, and I noticed her desk, the little placard there, and she happened to be sitting there. So I sit down and I go, hey, I don't know if you're busy right now, but here's the deal. Tell her my story. Is there anything we can do? And all she tells me is, let me talk to some people and I'll get back to you. What's your contact info? That's all I hear. I didn't hear until 8 years later what really happened, but she went back to the department and was like, if we didn't build this building for this type of person, I don't know why we're here. Help me have the freedom to make this work. And long story short, she went to bat for me and created an independent study, right? So I was able to take the course, except for no place to hide, one-on-one at the desk, right? And so, again, falls into my lap the greatest of opportunities for me to grow and have a great coach or mentor. And our deal was, she says, hey, I got good news. We can do this independent study. Bad news is it's going to cost you a California burrito every time. You got to bring that thing with guacamole. And so this was our deal, right? And I took this course one-on-one with her, and you learn at another level when you're not in the back.
You're just not a number anymore.
Yeah. And so your boy did the reading type of thing, you know? Right. And so that was a powerful connection, man. And, her story is she blows up, PhD, goes and teaches at Harvard, and then she's, working with Bob Keegan, and she's in the all-star cast of adult development, positive psychology, leadership, organizational culture. The joke I say, I'm her biggest cheerleader. So the joke I say is none of us can afford that conversation, you know what I mean, or whatever. So this is a bro deal for sure, right?
Right.
And we stayed in touch and we're friends. And so I wanted to write this book, and I proposed to her my idea, and she's like, "Yeah, that's great. I'll support you, you know, totally." And I left the conversation feeling good that I had a friend that I could bounce ideas off of. And then 5 minutes later was like, "That's not going to do it." And I wrote her an email back and I said, "I need you to invoice me, and I need it to hurt, because I need to hire you for real to hold me accountable." And so our student teacher relationship that turned into a friendship, turned into a business relationship, and she became my coach. And the context was this book I was writing. And you know, it's a long arc, but I can see myself going through the sort of stages of consciousness that we talked about before, right? Like, I am this athlete who identifies with an external subject matter expert, right? I believe in the idols that are the coaches and the authors and the thing. And then you sort of start to internalize that and you say, no, I have my thing to say. So I become the entrepreneur because I want to take my version of all these lessons I've learned and I'm going to say it. I'm in charge. I have my dogma now. And that's that level 4 self-authoring thing, right? My Logan Gelbrich method to life. And she has pushed me to transcend that thing from this level 4 to this level 5 thing, where I can sort of stand above and see myself down there on the playing field, thinking the little things that I think, right? And see that I am a system inside of a larger set of systems. And, you know, she helps me see those blind spots. And it's edgy and hard, and it feels like the seminar, but in a personal type of way, you know.
That's crazy. Where's that humility and insight come for you to be able to, you know, put yourself out there and hire mentors? Because, you know, a lot of the top people, I would say, thought leaders in the world, they all have coaches. But from the outside looking in, people think this person's self-made. Yeah. And they don't see the back end of the people helping them. Like, where does that come from for you?
You know, look, I think I'm blessed with a thing. I don't know if it came from my parents or it was just something inside of me from other factors, but I've never doubted my ability to do something. You know, whether it was a professional athlete or be the president or be an astronaut, like, I don't have limiting beliefs in that way. However, the flip side of that same coin is I told people since I was 5 years old I was going to play professional baseball, and if they doubted me or made me give them another answer, I don't know what else to tell you. This is what I'm going to do, kind of thing. The other side of that, like, confidence is, like, I'm not athletic. I mean, people laugh when I say that, but, like, I'm not. Right. You know, like, I look different than I used to look, but, like, I'm not, like, crazy gifted in that way. And the only way I was going to do it was just borderline kill myself working for it. Right? Sure. And so that's just how I sort of, like, solve problems. Like, I don't assume that any of this will be sort of easy. And so it's the only obvious step for me to assume that there's something or someone else out there that has something to offer me, that I have to, like, work for my own adaptation. And that is a never-ending sort of process. And so I have to be surrounded by people that are better than me, because this version of me won't work for wherever I want to go, you know? And I think many people have the, let's say, confidence or arrogance that help me say the other thing. Like, I could be the president of this country. I really believe that, right? That's, like, arrogant thing to say, right? Yeah. Most people that would have that type of arrogance would assume that they just got it. And that's why a lot of people that say that don't do shit, right? So I think it's I want to sort of use both to accomplish the things I want to accomplish. So she is a very important part of that, and all the exposures that we seek out to challenge ourselves.
Yeah. Sure.
You know.
Yeah. With regards to putting the summit together, I know that you say that's for you, but one of the things that you touch on is as we go through organizational structure was the thing, if it's going to be successful, has to be bigger than you, right? So I feel like there's something behind that statement that it is for you, but it's bigger than you.
Well, things can be successful that are the size of you.
Sure.
Right. The way I'm sort of looking at it is like, I'm gonna take a step back real quick and say that like me size success is this big, and success that is larger than me is bigger. Right. And I'm willing to sort of like swallow that pill and say like, just in an objective view, here's what's available if we can sort of transcend ourselves. And I'm interested in that thing.
Yeah.
The catch-22 there is a lot of people actually use that, in my opinion, as an excuse to limit their sort of upside, right? Like if you'll never relinquish full control. This shows up all the time. This is what I literally coach people in 99.9% of the time at the summit, right? What did I say? Most people come in here and they say, I'm the man or I'm the woman, and I got these people back here at my business that just don't get it, and their buy-in sucks. And if they were a little bit better at their thing, then we would be better. Well, guess what? They are the problem because they are unwilling to transcend their thing, right? And to relinquish, to give away power, right? And I don't believe in giving away power or creating something bigger than myself simply because I'm a giving guy.
Right.
It's not like this weird self-sacrifice thing. It's the utility of that is bigger.
Right. Right.
That there is mathematical advantageous power to that thing.
Sure.
And that's why.
Yeah. There's another post that came up speaking about the exponential advantage that comes with that team building thing. Some girl came in asking about a coaching job, and you told her about your coach's development. I couldn't believe it. It was so.
It's the best commercial for the gym
100
in the history
yes.
of commercials.
So she's in her car on her way home from whatever the fuck
transpired,
yeah. And she's like, I go in, I want a coaching job, and he tells me that I need to join the gym, and then I have to go through this apprenticeship. So I'm already spending $250 a month.
It's going to cost me money. I want money. Why do I have to spend money to get money? Right? All this.
I was like, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, people come into PHX all the time. And they're like, hey, do you have any coaching opportunities? I was like, I have plenty of coaching opportunities, but you have to go through this process first. I'm like, oh, but I have my degree in kinesiology. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Well, I was just coaching at this other gym. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I was at regionals. I'm like, okay, that's cool. You still gotta go through the process.
That's right.
And then I never see him again.
Of course.
Right. And so I'm listening to this rant. And I mean, she just goes off, and I'm like, now we have to have him on the show.
No,
we're like
awesome.
this.
That's so awesome. I mean, there's so much there.
Yeah.
Like starting with, where's the camera at? If you're a good coach, you're not rare. Like, you're not cool. Don't need you. You know what I mean? And if you're trying to do something special, if you're trying to create something remarkable, the thing I end up saying all the time is like, everybody wants a better team. Everyone wants that all-star cast. They want to do something remarkable. They want to win a championship. They want to, make a bunch of money or be successful in some way. Look at all those teams that do that thing. It's hard to get on those teams. There are rites of passage that make it to where, like, what's it like playing professional athletics? Oh, yeah, you got an opinion about you don't like how this goes? Hey, the 8 million people that are lined up out the door. Next. Like, bye.
Right.
And there needs to be a certain level of buy-in if we're going to create an environment that is incredible, and cool, you're fit and you're a good coach. That's not enough at all to do this thing, right? And so that process is wonderful. I mean, people watch that video. I mean, it's essentially like a rant. This woman comes in and basically isn't getting a job instantly, and she's mind blown at that. And the reaction was, of course, 100 comments of people supporting the gym.
Yeah.
And the irony is, like, that's half of the reason for the development program. Half of it is to get people better and develop their craft, but the other half is like straight up filter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Riffraff, man. We talk about at the summit, and it's something that shows up all the time is everybody has these structures in place. They put their prospective members through a process. You got to meet with me. You got to do this fundamentals thing. You got to pay this money. It's like, there's a rite of passage to be a member there.
Mm-hmm.
But all your coaches, they just were fit and emailed you. And then they're in leadership now. And your mind is blown that, like, they're not saluting the flag, or they leave and open a gym somewhere because you also haven't created a place for them to make a living. Mm-hmm. And you're upset that, like, it would be a mere coincidence if someone became a leader at your gym through that channel. Hi, I'm fit. Can I work there? You say yes. You're coaching tomorrow at 7 a.m. To simplify. This person comes in. It would be such a coincidence if that person was like, I actually want to devote the rest of my life to you and build something outside of myself here. like why would that be the outcome?
Right.
So you're going to come to the summit and you're going to be like, these guys don't get it.
Yeah.
No, you don't get it. You haven't built a thing that gives an opportunity for anything other than those types of problems, So the filter. Yeah, I mean, you're not rare if you're a great coach. And there, I know people who have stood on the podium at the CrossFit Games who have expressed interest, and it didn't work out for a number of reasons, but, like, they too would have had to go through that process.
Mm-hmm.
One of my best friends in the world, Carl Pally, I think he's the best coach on earth. Mm-hmm. I believe that to be true. Mm-hmm. And there's a moment where he might have moved to LA and the whole thing, and we're both excited for that. And the conversation on the phone is like, how awkward is it going to be when you got to do coaches prep? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. You're doing it,
right? Yeah.
I mean, the moment that standard doesn't mean anything, then the standard doesn't mean anything,
right?
Right. I told a story the other day. My buddy he became like this high-powered lawyer in Manhattan, right? And he's like, dude, I got to talk to you. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, I saw this moment, like, from my table at this fancy dinner last night that I don't think anybody kind of saw, and I just got to share it. I'm like, what do you got? They're at this Michelin star joint in New York. Mm-hmm. Dress code, everybody needs a coat type of thing.
Right.
$500 a head type of joint.
Yeah.
And he's sitting down, working through his partner dinner, talking about saving the world or whatever they talk about. And in comes this posse. And everybody is dressed to the nines and whatever, but there's, like, one guy where everybody kind of, like, shifts and looks at the room, and it's Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg, and his crew, right? Okay. And they come up to the maitre d', and they're getting organized, whatever, and the maitre d' does maitre d' things, which is like hold this sort of standard, and he's essentially, unbeknownst to the group, going to get a sport coat for people who blow it on the dress code, and he's going to help out Mr. Zuckerberg, who is in his Zuckerberg uniform, right? He's in the hoodie with the white shirt and the jeans because, he's Doug Funny and he wears the same thing every day. That's his thing. Okay, and so the maitre d' is, like, going to hand him the coat and tell him to, like, abide, basically. And there's this beautiful moment where one of the sort of Facebook henchmen, posse guys, feels like he's doing a favor to the maitre d' and intercepts this conversation. Like, right in front of, like, Mark's talking to somebody, and the maitre d's coming up with the jacket, and he sort of sees what's happening, and he goes, he extends the coat out, and the guy, like, intercepts, and he goes, oh, I'm sorry. That's Mark Zuckerberg. And the maitre d' goes, like, around his shoulder, and he goes, this is New York. And held the hell out of that standard.
Yeah.
Take your stupid hoodie off, second richest person in the world, and play the game.
Right.
And if you're going to be the hoity-toity Michelin star restaurant sometimes, then are you that? Right? If Mark Zuckerberg's over there in like a hoodie and like, shell toes, like what is this place? Right? And that matters.
Right.
And we have those standards, and they're not the right standards. I mean, we're all making this up. We're drawing lines and borders where we think they go. But if you want to play our game, you play our game.
Right.
And there's an advantage to that.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's crazy. Yeah. You know what? One thing, that's a wild story, man.
That's right. Great.
But
Doug Funny.
dude, I really like the Doug Funny reference. Scott loved that show. I really do love that show.
We all.
Man, you at the similar one thing that really struck me. You talked about living at the edge.
Yeah.
Could you dive deeper into like what that means to you and an example of sort of living at that edge? Because we understand the term in our space of what that means, but for like the majority of people, I think it's a hard concept to understand completely on how to actually live at that edge. Could you dive into that a little bit more?
Well, it's hard. And it's hard, too, because you start saying words like consciousness, and people are like, bro, like, put the beads away. Like, what are we doing out here? Guy's got long hair. He's from Venice. You know what I mean?
Put the fingers together.
Like, where are we at?
Self-conscious. Put my hands in my pockets.
So it's kind of hard to talk about. It's also, it feels like we don't know what that is. It gets heady. And, sometimes, especially us gym folks, we're like, oh, I'm out, dude. But the way I like to talk about it is at least most of the people that want to listen to what I say know how to do that with physicality. Like what did we talk about this weekend in the summit is what are we doing in the gym? We are driving adaptation. And how does that process work in an organism? Well, there needs to be some sort of stress that is going to support this adaptation, to give reason to change and evolve. And, the example I gave at the summit was, you got a 500-pound back squat PR, and you want to grow that capacity. You need to operate at a level of stress that would elicit a response to sort of move the needle on that capacity. And there's no rep scheme or like amount of like weird bands or like, online program that you could do with a 135-pound barbell to move the needle. It's not stressful enough. Well, we know how to grow muscles and grow, the central nervous system to express power and do physical feats with this type of thing. But our this is why I use the C word, consciousness, right? What we're capable of holding, the perspectives that we're capable of holding, operates in a similar type of way. And unfortunately, it too is uncomfortable, right? Like you put 5 more pounds on the bar than you did last week, and last week was hard. We're starting to get stressed, man. Like that's the mechanics behind the thing. Well, what does that look like when it's not physical and it's in between your ears? Well, there's a number of different ways that this can happen, but what I sort of distill that down to is that 135-pound barbell example is sort of like confirming information. We own that. You get under the bar, I know how this goes, therefore it's not stressful by definition. Well, disconfirming information, things that challenge my beliefs, what I hold to be true, if I'm shown that, like right in my face, I believe X, and he's just looking right at something in your face that says that's not true, and you can't duck it and get around it. This is disconfirming information, and it comes in lots of different forms. External events can happen in your life. You can get negative feedback from people. Anything that challenges your frame has a chance to break it and grow it. And so people who are driving adaptation sort of between the ears are on the hunt for this type of disconfirming information. It's sort of outside of our scope. And, depending on who you're studying or through which model you are looking at this type of adaptation, you will call these stages different things, and that maybe some have colors, and you just pick borders in different places and all that. But the concept is generally the same, that we evolve through these sort of stages. And the problem with that is this: the world is growing in complexity every single day, every single year, every single era. And many of us are, to use Bob Keegan's words, in over our heads, meaning the complexity of the world is greater than our ability to hold that complexity. And the challenges of our world, solving them is going to require greater complexity, more capable minds to do that. And we're in a place right now where we're sort of behind. And if we want to be the leaders that we want to be, if we want to solve the type of adaptive challenges that we want to solve, borderless war, global warming, like the ethics of artificial intelligence, that's another one. Like, you can't Google those answers.
Mm-hmm.
There's no manual for that.
Mm-hmm.
So either we grow the capacity to manage this, or this is our new evolution. We go away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't want to get like too crazy, but like those are sort of some of the benefits and consequences of our ability to hold this space or not. And we have the ability to do this, and I'm interested in what I'm capable of.
Sure.
Yeah. You know what? At the conference, there was an interesting question that was proposed
Okay.
when you opened the floor up before lunch yesterday.
Okay.
And the woman, she brought up the idea of social media is such a huge distraction. It's one of the most negative things out there.
Oh, yeah.
And then you flipped the framing on it. You said, okay, I can tell you already have a negative view of this thing we call social media. But what if that negative idea changed to, it could be the most positive thing you made in the world. You put your message out there that impact hundreds of thousands or millions of people. And I just thought that change in framing was incredible, because you hear a lot of people, how you challenged her idea, you don't hear a lot of people challenge that in the face. They may go behind closed doors and say, well, I didn't agree with that.
Yeah.
But you hit her direct in the mouth with it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so incredible, because you just saw that shift in her, and she just thought like, wow, he uncovered a layer in me to where my thought process was broken, essentially. Or, I at least challenged my idea to make me think of a different outcome. I just thought that was just beautiful how you challenged her in that respect, because you could just tell it made the clock tick again,
That's sort of what the summit, if I was going to like dumb down the summit like to ground zero, it's me making disconfirming information sexy.
Yeah.
And I'm there to give it, and I'm there to convince the people in the room that they should be out looking for it. And so what is social media? Is it the biggest time waste in the history of the world? Like, there's a great book out there on one hand that is saying it's called The Dumbest Generation. We have more opportunity, more information available to us in the history of the world, and we are dumber than we've ever been in a lot of ways. What do we have to show for it, right? There's the man hours spent playing Halo is an exponential of the man hours it takes to build the Great Pyramids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we are blowing it. Like, can we harness this type of manpower to do anything at all, right? On one hand.
Yeah.
Oh, so is Instagram and social media cat videos and fail blogs or whatever? Or is the hyperlink the greatest opportunity in the history of humankind for connection and to solve problems that were impossible before? Like, the fact that we can link exponentially all these people together across borders that like would never speak before is an opportunity that, let's look. We don't have to look far for examples.
This conversation.
We are here because of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So what is it? And to me, like, what I was doing was giving her some disconfirming information. What she believed to be true, and she expressed this, was that my brand is not superficial. We are about connection, human connection, the good kind. Instagram is superficial. That's not my type of connection. And what I said is, you believe that to be true? What about this? Can you hold both of those? And this is a certain level of conscious development, when you can hold two opposing truths to be true at the same time. Very few people can do that. And this is not even the hardest one. There's more levels beyond this. But is social media the worst thing of all time, and it's cat videos and fail blogs, and we're blowing it? And is it also the greatest opportunity for human connection of all time?
Right.
Yes. Not or, either or.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's
Sure.
yes.
Yep.
Can you hold both of those? And yeah, that is a harder approach.
Mhm.
That's the catch-22 of this.
Right. You know, something.
Responsibility's hard.
Damn truth on that.
One of the other concepts that you really drove home was the concept of anti-fragility,
Mhm.
being anti-fragile, and one of the defining criteria of a genuine relationship is, between two human beings is, how anti-fragile is it? Your ability to have those uncomfortable yet honest conversations that hold the standard, no pun intended, hold people accountable, and at the same time you're able to have those discussions with about disconfirming beliefs, but at the same time through that potential conflict come out on the other side, maybe not necessarily agreeing, but an understanding of either one of your point of view, a deeper understanding of the other side's point of view. Give us some examples of how within your organization, maybe even your personal life, that anti-fragile persona manifests.
So how that works at the sort of highest level, the opportunity for an anti-fragile relationship, we'll say, requires some basic things, and we talked about them this weekend. One is like a willingness. So if we're going to sit down at a table, you and I, and we're going to try to accomplish something, and I am unwilling to participate, you can have enough willingness for the whole city, but if I'm unwilling, then this doesn't work.
Right.
Straight up. The other thing is, because this is edgy and uncomfortable, and we're going to be open to, we're saying this, disconfirming information, there needs to be a certain level of trust that I can honestly divulge information that might feel uncomfortable for me to give and uncomfortable for you to receive. If I don't feel safe in giving that information, then I'm not going to give you the real shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we need to have these two things. The glue, the good news with this, because this is hard. Everybody around the room the other day was like, I like what you're saying, but hard. I don't know. I don't know how bad I want that, right? Okay.
Right.
The glue that makes this thing work, and it's the reason why it shows up in the best teams in the world, is higher purpose. Okay? If we don't really care about the conversation, the nature of the thing, or we're not on like the same team or whatever's going on, there's no aligned higher purpose, it's not really worth it all the time, because negative feedback doesn't feel good.
Right.
Right? It's the reason why we don't just have these conversations with anybody, right? But who does? People that win Super Bowls do. People that win wars do. People that accomplish amazing things do. And the reason why we can sort of justify having these harder conversations is because we just so happen to be trying to do something incredible. Maybe that's entrepreneurial, right? So in our organization, Deuce, the brand Deuce is trying to accomplish something incredible. Because of this sort of lengthy rite of passage, everyone that's involved wants to be there more than any place on the planet. There's no like fake ass rappers there, right? Everybody is about it.
Right.
Everybody's got the neck tattoo, right? Everybody's saluting the flag. And if we start there and we say, hey, we're trying to do something hard, but I'm not here for a paycheck, I'm here for something bigger than myself, then it's pretty easy to get around to the idea of like, do you agree that if I feel open and compelled to speak the truth to you, that we could be a better team? You'd be like, yeah, I agree with that. And if you said that to me, I would agree with that as well. We're pulling from the same end of the rope there. And that provides this open lane for me to hear and for me to say what needs to be heard and what needs to be said. right? And the examples we gave at the summit, right, is like the office space mentality. You work at the job that doesn't matter in the cubicle that's stupid from 9 to 5 because fucking you don't even know why you're doing that. What is the conversation like at the water cooler? I wouldn't even know because I've never had one of these jobs, but I've seen movies and I hear people bitch about it. Is about some bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
John, the weather, huh? Looking good out there. And we're just faking everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you go to work doing 2 jobs. You try to do your job and stay out of trouble, and you try to cover your ass. That's what those people are doing.
Right.
We're flipping that on its script. We're going to our job to do our thing, to do our job, and to shine a light so bright on our weaknesses, because we all got them. Let's not lie about this. You just agreed, and I just agreed that if you can help me improve, then we both win. So what's that conversation like? It's no longer what's the example I gave this weekend? It's like, hey, Susan, love the dress. Love that dress. Anyway, in the email report, you forgot to put the subject line the right way that we do. If you could just include that, that would be great. And then, you know what? I can't wait to see you at the party. It's great to see it. And it's this compliment, critique, compliment bullshit, right? Do the Oakland Raiders talk to each other like that, right? The SEAL Team 3 talk to each other like that? No, they're interested in the truth. That's too slow and inefficient, right? And luckily for us and people in a very passionate, high-purpose space, it's a little easier for us to create an organization like that.
Right.
I worry about how CVS is going to do that. That's my example all the time.
Sure,
right?
sure.
I worry about how P.F. Chang's is ever going to get there. Because guess what? No offense or whatever. I'm just using examples. But, if you're the waiter there, maybe you don't give a shit about P.F. Chang's. You probably don't give a shit. If you're the manager, you also don't give a shit. If you own the franchise, you kind of just picked a franchise maybe. You didn't grow up wanting to be – that wasn't even a thing, right? And so we can look at the tales or the rare events of organizations and people who are trying to do incredible things. They're willing to do some things that are hard.
Yeah.
Right? And it's sort of like the lubricant for this type of conversation.
Well, I think on the other side of that is something that you also touched on at the summit, and that was, and I apologize if I misquote you, but I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to find the truth. And I think that's kind of ties all that up and puts a bow on it. When you operate in that context, it's no longer about being superior or being the smartest guy in the room. It's trying to find an environment or a reason to not be those things, and you'll act accordingly until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
But while you're acting accordingly, you're trying to find reasons or situations where your philosophy, your methodology, your system doesn't work. This
is our philosophy so far.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And to me, to use a sports example, is are you on offense or are you on defense?
Mm-hmm.
And the moment that you're interested in being right, you are uninterested in disconfirming information. You're looking for things that support your code, your method, your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're humble enough or willing enough or courageous enough to find out what's the developmental question, how I might be wrong about this, then that's a key to the city for development until forever. Right? You are on offense. You are willing to take in both positive and negative feedback about your thing, because truth is your guide rather than being right as your guide.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, and this is that stage 4 thing, right? Where you're like, I used to have these idols and these socialized sort of belief structures and constructs, and then I take those and I emerge and I'm the self-authoring captain of my vessel. It's the Logan method, right? And in order to preserve the Logan method, I need to put blinders on to information that is not supporting my clause, right? This is the joke about Facebook. What are you reposting? You know what I mean? You're reposting the shit that makes your shit look good, right? If you catch that article that's maybe your way isn't the best, you're like, absolutely not. That, of course, is not relevant, right? And so the insurance against this type of stagnation is that question. How might I be wrong about this? And so it really pays to try to break your game.
Yeah.
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 You know, and a lot of things that I come from a tech background, software development.
Okay.
And a lot of the methodologies in tech sort of resemble what you were speaking about having an open feedback loop where you're getting people just what does you call it?
Disconfirming
information. Yeah. So there's a methodology that works with the best companies in the world. So you imagine Facebook, Google. It's called the Agile methodology.
Okay.
So every week during a software development phase, you have groups that are having deliverables throughout that.
Yeah.
At the end of the week, all those groups come together, touch base, put their deliverable out there, and then you have this information coming, you know, this isn't the best way to help this project move forward, but this is great.
Feedback. Yeah.
Let's put this information together and let's move in the right direction.
Yeah.
But it's an every week touch point. And then another one that doesn't work really well is called the waterfall methodology.
Okay.
You do this long development phase. It may take 6 months or whatever to create this deliverable. At the end of that 6-month period, you come and say, this is what we have. And a lot of those projects fail because it was such a long period of touch point.
Yeah, the feedback loop.
The feedback loop was broken through that entire process.
Yeah.
And when you were just talking about how can you create an organization where people are open to giving you that honest feedback on a regular basis, those are the methodologies that came ringing back to me. And Durs and I were having the conversation as we were doing that exercise of, you know, how can people in your organization come to you and feel comfortable giving you this tough information, but also this helpful information?
Totally.
And I just thought that was just a beautiful thing because when you take concepts from, you know, whether it's fitness or software, it's all the same application in everything that you do in life.
Totally.
And it just makes you start deconstructing yourself. And I just thought you did it in such a beautiful way that it just resonated on so many levels with me.
Yeah.
So I just...
Well, thank you. Yeah. I mean, that feedback loop, we see, you know, examples of that everywhere. Like the formal academic one that I'm beating a dead horse on is deliberate practice, right? And that's just mechanics for tightening the feedback loop on skill uptake,
right?
You know, and the example I gave yesterday is, someone who is inside of deliberate practice on, playing the violin would be receiving immediate informative feedback about their deviations from the standard. So you play the first note, and the note that you see on the page is not what you heard. That is a feedback loop that is extremely tight. That's one way to practice the violin. It's a very high-powered way to learn to play the violin. Now, if I play the entire song and I get to the end and I say, like, how did that sound? That's the waterfall method. The feedback loop is too long. You're getting better. It takes you a whole song to get one piece of information versus 200 bits of feedback as you go, right? And, the baseball example, right? And so how do we know all this stuff, right? It's best practices.
Yeah.
This is all this is, right? And it just so happens when, 20 million American kids want to play baseball more than they want to do anything, you start to find out how to do it, right? It's the same thing, like weightlifting is the best example I can think of in our world, which is like there's not many rules. The rules have changed a little bit over the years, but essentially it's like bar starts on the ground, bar gets overhead, I'll let you stop at the shoulder, I'll call it the clean and jerk, have at it. There's a reason why people in China look like the people in Canada, who look like the people in the U.S., who look like the people in Iran, because they're just hunting best practices.
Right.
What we see in those points of performance are not the rules, right? It's just the best way to do it. And, the baseball example is it's such a high skill game that common language, since I was 10, is making adjustments pitch to pitch. Like, what's the tightest loop that you can find improvement? If it takes you a game to make an adjustment at the plate, maybe that's pretty good as like a intermediate or whatever. If it takes you a season to make an adjustment, like that doesn't really serve us, right? I always swing at curveballs in the dirt. Next season, I'm going to not swing at curveballs in the dirt. Bro, there's some kids who are getting better from inning to inning. You're out. That skill development is too slow.
Right.
The best in the world, big league hitters who are making $12 million a year, are internalizing and making adjustments from pitch to pitch. That game is dissected down. For the fans, it's 9 innings long. For every single person on the field, it is a pitch, reset. And everybody has their reset thing. There's a great article on Ichiro Suzuki playing right field for, future Hall of Famer for the Mariners. And the writer of the article was about to bash this dude. Like, we got this Hall of Famer at the end of his career who's just dazing off. in the outfield. You know, he's checked out. Now, obviously, he's on his way out. I'd be surprised if he plays 2 more years, because what he was observing is between each pitch, everybody has a pre-pitch routine. It's right, left, step, right? And he has an approach, what he's trying to do. If the ball's hit to him, where does he go? If it's to his right, where does he throw the ball? If it's to his left, where does he throw the ball? But after each pitch, you know, baseball's boring as hell and nothing ever happens, right? The ball doesn't get hit to him. He's looking up in the stands. And the next pitch, right, left, step. Looking up in the stands. And so this author of this article was like, this dude is not even checked in. He's done. This is sad or whatever. Goes to interview him about it, tries to call him out on this thing. And he says, actually, this is a deal I've made with my sports psychologist, and there's a point in the stadium. It's actually that stairwell up there. I don't know if you can see it right there, but the 4th rung on the stairwell is my reset point, and it allows me to come back to the moment and prevents me from dwelling on the past or thinking about the future. He was a mental master, right? Wow. He was not dazing off. He was coming back to the pitch, because for him it's not about this inning or this game. That is way too slow. If you're going to be a Hall of Famer, you have to play that game 1 pitch at a time.
Right.
And if he's going to come to that pitch as the highest performing version of Ichiro Suzuki, he needs to leave every other pitch behind, you know. So I had a point in the stadium that was like that. Some players have rubber bands. They do the old rubber band come back to center trick, or they have a focal point on their glove or whatever, right? And what the hell does baseball have to do with weightlifting or designing software or whatever, right? These are the universal principles that are living above the details of whatever our interests are, right? This is skill development.
Yeah.
Yeah, the moment is where we all live. So whoever's mastering that moment better will tend to have the best chance for success.
Sure.
That's man. Yeah. Where you're sitting currently in your life, how would you define your life's purpose at this moment?
Man, that's such a heavy thing. I'm highly interested in finding out what I'm capable of. I'm highly interested in truth and what my truth is. And to be honest, it's ever changing. I am holding myself and have held myself to the responsibility of not being the same person next year than I am this year, you know. And so to more specifically answer your question, what that looks like is my arc is, you know, I try to get good at coaching. Maybe I'm a good coach, right? Maybe I reached a certain level of expertise in that thing, and that's not a journey that's over. There's no finish line there. Of course, we can go forever, but I wanted to put myself in an environment to challenge that capacity, right? And so what does that look like? Well, not only am I, let's say, like some sort of expert level coach in my little slice of fitness life, but could I coach the craft of coaching to another coach? Could I coach the craft of coaching to another coach at a level that he or she could coach other coaches, right? And that's Coaches Prep, right? And then Coaches Prep became Coaches Prep 101 online, right? Where now we're coaching other coaches at other facilities, removing the autopilot filter, driving evolution in that way. And then to transcend and include that capacity, now we're talking about the summit and talking about leadership, right? And what is that? And how do I develop that and cultivate that type of adaptation, right? Moving from technical leadership, meaning like, here's how you pick up an Atlas stone. This is information, right? You signed up to get the information, you leave with the information. That's one type of leadership. Well, the leadership I'm interested in is adaptive leadership, meaning I need to evolve people. Less about information and more about them going from who they are now to being a bigger, more capable container into the future. And in order to hold that type of space, I need to be of a certain capability, right? My container needs to be even bigger. And so I'm trying to sort of transcend fitness a little bit, right? Fitness was like the excuse for the business, but now that is becoming more general, right? Hold the Standard Summit started in Spain, and it was like 7 people sitting down being like, all right, so how do you do it? What are the memberships? All right, well, what's the website look like? How often do you write the blog? Is there a picture at the top or is it at the bottom, right? It's all technical bullshit. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Right? what is it now? If you are in any leadership capacity of any kind, of with an organization of any kind, I'm going to talk to you about some principles that have nothing to do with fitness or everything to do with fitness, right? And I am wanting to see what is there. And so, I wrote this book that we're editing right now, and I'm just trying to evolve and push myself forward. And that looks like, I think, departing the specific technicalities of fitness. Yeah.
So before we let you get out of here, man, I want to ask you 2 questions, and you can answer them on any level, mental, physical, spiritual, whatever, however it strikes you. And I'll ask them both. The first of which is, each and every day, how do you feed yourself and create the momentum to do what you do and have the impact that you have? And the follow-on to that is, what do you do each and every day to fuel yourself and make that momentum sustainable over the long term?
Man, this is at the heart of really what I'm looking at right now. I mean, like, full transparency, and I don't say this to like get attention or like pity or something like that, but for the first time in my life, I sort of reached like a dark period, like a year and a half ish ago, where, looking backwards, I'm sort of realizing that, like, people use like the D word, like depression and mental health is like, these are all sort of buzzwords right now. But I've found myself in a place that is unrecognizable to me, and it really comes down to, ultimately, in my case at least, finding the answers to the questions that you're talking about right now. We all have strengths, and I think what we don't recognize sometimes is the biggest strengths, the pillars that stand up the highest, have a shadow. And that shadow comes with some stuff. And if you pretend that that's not there, then you can kind of get yourself into trouble. So remember my story. What was my story? I'm an unathletic dude trying to do something hard that's athletic, right? I got to work really hard, and I got to endure, and I got to blue collar the hell out of it. I got to put in more reps than the other guy. I can endure and take on this crap. That's how I win. Cool. Really, that's a strength of mine, I would say. Right, it's the reason why I'm successful in business and other things. Well, the shadow of that is, if that's my default, then I put myself in situations where you start putting rocks in your bag, and then the bag's getting heavy, and it's okay because it's heavy, because heavy's good, and I got this, and I can keep going. Like, until you can't, right? And if you don't know how to fuel yourself, you get yourself into a position like I did, where I'm sort of looking around, and I built, guilty party here, I built a lot of the relationships in my life to be a one-way sort of street. Because if we're in relationship together in business or something, and maybe you can't get something done, I got this, because I can endure it. That's what I do. It's fine. And then I do that over and over again, and then I just start to resent you, actually. And I got more work to do. And then I do that around my life, to the point where you get into this thing and maybe you run out of energy, and that was the only thing that allowed it to go, right? That's the only way that allowed you to carry all the rocks. I don't have the skills to answer your question. I don't have the skills to nurture myself. What is that, right? Because I was willing to give that up. I was willing to sacrifice that to win.
Sure.
Right? That was my strength.
Right.
And so right now I'm in it. I'm in it. Like, yeah. I'm team therapy right now. And it's hard work. And so it's, restructuring these relationships, being able to communicate. There's no pride really in doing that enduring thing. I need to be able to articulate to you what I need from you.
Sure.
Right? I'm not in service to you. We are in maybe service to each other. And so I am like in kindergarten for that right now, and so, I'm working on it and coming through it and all that. And specifically what's changing is sort of, I'm not really coaching fitness right now. I'm sort of gravitating to the things that feel good for me. I'm writing more and developing some of the educational stuff, doing the summit and all that. And I need to re-enter and engage in things that are also feeling for me.
Sure.
And so I'm in preschool, maybe kindergarten, on how to nurture myself.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man, and authentic, dude. I applaud you on that, man.
Yeah.
Where can everybody in this community go follow you and support you on your journey, both professionally and personally?
So, yeah, man, on the internet, on the thing with all the fail blogs and cat videos, right? the destruction of humankind. That's where you can find me. So on like Twitter and Instagram, @functionalcoach is my thing.
Yeah.
I'm active on there. I communicate with people and messages, and you can get a feel for maybe what I'm talking about. Every day, there's a blog at deucegym.com that is not about bar cycling or knees out or some other shit you already know about. You know what I mean? It's about stuff that you might find interesting, 2-minute reads. And the 2000th blog article will come up in a couple months. That's been Monday through Friday every week for 7 years. And I take a lot of pride in that. So maybe mix that, make reading sexy again. And the last thing I'll say is the educational thing. So Coaches Prep 101, that people from all over the world are sort of removing that autopilot thing. I know all you guys are coaching 7:30 a.m. class, staying exactly the same as you were last week. You're not getting better. Coaches Prep is a way to bring deliberate practice to the craft of coaching. That's where you can find information about the summit, just coming around in the world. And then Business Prep 101 will be coming out shortly here.
Dope.
So,
and when your book drops, let us know, man. We'd be more than happy to support you on that.
Maybe that's why I'm depressed. That thing. Don't ever write a book. Don't ever do it.
I feel you.
Yeah, dude.
Dude.
Oh, man.
I'm on number 2.
Are you? Yes. Dude, respect. That is the most important thing I've ever done in my life, and I'm excited for when it comes out, except for I've told people for the last 2 Christmases at least that it would be under their tree for Christmas. So it's getting really close. It's in the final editing process, and it feels good. I'm excited for that.
Dope, brother.
One last question.
Yeah.
When do you want to bring the summit to Phoenix?
Oh, snap. Let's do it.
I got you, bro.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm into it. We're doing dates for 2019 right now. We got New York, Sydney, a spot in New Zealand, and coming back to Venice. So we got space next year.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I'd like that.
Yeah, cool. For sure, man. For everybody out there in Feed Me, Fuel Me land, make sure you get out there and support everything that Logan and Deuce are up to. We'll keep you up to date on everything that he has going on. Hopefully that book will come out sooner than later. Dude, appreciate everything that you bring to the table. Your message is as authentic as it gets, and I think that your reach is greater than than your current vision will allow you to see.
Thank you.
But from the outside looking in, man, you got a good thing going on. You keep putting that good out in the universe, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. This has been fun.
Most
Appreciate
definitely.
Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah.
And until next time, guys, feed me, fuel me.